Absolutely amazing event. You know, it struck me today when I was sitting there. It struck me today there when I was sitting in the front row watching Natalie and Troy get married, watching Troy spill his vows beautifully. And for a second, I could have swore that I saw Peter Pan lift out of his body. And now, you're one of us. Welcome to the club, buddy. So happy. So happy. So, you know, when Troy told me that he was engaged, Mark, the first question that I asked Troy was, did you ask Mark for permission? And he said, absolutely. And I was really proud of that. I think a lot of us have been there. It's very difficult sometimes to look at your father-in-law in the eye and say, can I have your daughter's hand in marriage? But the courage and the intestinal fortitude that it must take to tell him that you're going to invite 500 people to the wedding. I mean, absolutely unbelievable. So when Troy asked me to be the best man, I said, look, we're close and we bust each other up pretty good, right, Troy? I said, is there anything that's off limits? And he says, you know what, go ahead and do your worst. So I'm going to tell you guys about the time that I called Troy 13 years ago this month and told him that my wife and I were pregnant with our very first son. And you know what his reaction was? He hung up the phone. He hung up on me. I patiently waited for him to call back because I knew he would. And he said, dude, I thought we had a plan. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. What I will tell you about Troy is I've always been enamored with his work ethic. I noticed that there were 5 states mentioned earlier. Troy and I grew up in Colorado. Can I get a little what's left? So growing up with Troy, early on, he got his black belt. You're welcome. He's a black belt. He got his scuba dive master certification. It doesn't sound like a big deal, but it's an extremely difficult certification to get. In high school, he was a 4.0 student. He was a great athlete. Excuse me. He played athletics.
He was on some
in
sports
college,
teams.
University of Hawaii, went on to be a marine biology major, published, extremely impressive. From there, goes on to New York, had absolutely no business going into Wall Street, worked his way onto Wall Street, has been there for 20 years and done just an incredible job. And most recently got his master's at Columbia University in statistics. Troy is super impressive, right? All of this before Natalie graduated 6th grade. Speaking of Natalie, the beautiful, the enigmatic, yeah, that's a word. The fun-loving, just phenomenal person. The first time that I met Natalie, Troy was so excited to introduce me to her, and we went to Mark Forgione restaurant in New York City, and Troy was like, I think this is going to be the one. This is a big deal. And we were sitting there, and I asked a very simple question when we were at dinner. I said, Troy, is this your girlfriend? And Natalie did one of these. I don't know. Am I? And Troy did whatever moves he does. And looked at her and said, will you be my girlfriend? Look, I was there alone for the rest of the night. It got weird. Food was great. Table for one. Fun. Anyway, so back to Troy and children, right? Because remember, he hung up on me telling him that I was going to have a kid. So more recently, he's asked me multiple times, "Are you guys, what's it like having a family? Is it difficult? Should I be worried?" And we have these long, drawn-out conversations about it. And what it all boils down to is I said, "Troy, it's literally the easiest thing I've ever done. You guys should have 6 kids." Anyway.